guys for rocking with your boy Jay tonight. It was a crazy, crazy week 15. We got a lot to talk about before we get into the predictions and all that fun stuff. Before we do, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. It is much, much appreciated. Also, subscribe to the channel, click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. All right, so yeah, I definitely want to get started off with talking about the Eagles. I want to talk about the Eagles. I want to get into this. Everybody's been talking about Jalen Hurts and this Eagles franchise and basically what happened. Listen, I'm not going to harp down on the Eagles. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I stated weeks ago that the Eagles were looking a little weak. Weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, no matter how many ever weeks you want to go back, I stated that they looked like they were just skating by. People wanted to fight me over it. Fine, I get it, right? You want Jay to be wrong. I understand. I respect it. And then I said, when I looked at the last 6 weeks, I think it was 5 weeks ago. Yeah, 5 weeks ago, I said they're going to lose three in a row. I looked at a 6-game streak of what potentially could be a 3-streak loss, and then it happened. And then it happened. So, when you understand, you try to realize as far as what's going on with the Eagles and why this team is going the direction that they are in right now. They beat up on weak teams and looked great. They looked elite. But when it came into these real teams that are playing strong, that have an elite offense, have a somewhat decent defense or an even great defense, well, you start seeing the mistakes. You start seeing the things happen that you didn't expect out of Hurts. And no matter what, you guys try to come with the excuses now. He was sick, Jay, and he had the stomach bug. And, it's A.J. Brown. He can't catch anymore. Listen, you got to realize last year they had a solid defense. They had a solid defense. You don't have that this year. Jalen Hurts, he's not looking good. Right, you could talk about the last game and talk about he was sick. Fine, I'll give you that one. But what about the two before? He wasn't sick then. We have to stop with the excuses because when these guys step on the field in which they're paid millions of dollars to do it, they're expected to go out there, they're expected to perform, and they're expected to win. Because listen, if you're that sick to where you can't step out on that field and win, go ahead and let the backup do it. That way there's no excuses for you being out there and your team losing. Now, with that said, I will show the Eagles some credit because, listen, at the end of the day, you can say that whatever you want. I still think they are a solid team. I still think they can turn things around. Things should be easy for the next 3 weeks unless they've just completely gone off the rails. But they're still going to be in the playoffs, right? We'll get into the standings and all that kind of stuff as far as who's going to the playoffs and who's clinched and who's still in the balance right now. We'll get into that shortly, but the Eagles still have a solid chance of being in this thing. Don't write them off completely yet, even though the conversation revolves around the 49ers, Cowboys, and all that fun stuff. But the reality is this. They got to get things together, and I'm not sleeping on them completely, but we know what to expect coming up if they don't. So there you go. There you go. Shout out to the Wrench Gang. Shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. Much love to each and every one of you. Shout out to Furious Storm in the house. What up, man? Ryan says Bills better be in 10 now. Let's go. Royal says I'll never give up on my team. We're just a little weak right now, but don't worry, we'll beat the Giants. Speaking of Tommy, I want to get into Tommy DeVito. So some of you may know or may not know, but he had a situation where he was supposed to show up to some pizza shop or something like that for an event. And he had basically given a verbal, and I'm going to state this so you guys can understand. They made a verbal agreement for $10,000 for him to show up. Well, he then wins the game literally the day after they make this verbal agreement. And then when they call to basically set everything up, well, the price doubled. So then basically the company that had set this up didn't like that. They decided to cancel on it. The story went viral, and then obviously Tommy actually ended up showing for that original price, and it all worked out in the end. But he actually set up some new kind of situation as far as for management, so they can foresee his off the field business, so that his agent doesn't handle that kind of stuff anymore. Hey, listen, get the bag, get the money, but be a man of your word at the same time. If you tell somebody you're gonna do something for 10,000, do it for 10,000. All right, it's just the reality of it. Shout out to you, legend. What up, yo? Shout out to Megan. So let's go, Bills. Jake in the house, Christmas 752. What's going on with you? Lorenzo says people are crazy as heck if they think 49ers running over Baltimore. They got a real defense, not the pancake, what do you say? Not the pancake California crap they run. Good luck trying to catch Lamar. We gonna get into that in a little bit, Lorenzo. I got you, bro. We gonna get into that in a little bit. Christmas 752 says, I'm sick, but I don't want to be sick for Christmas. Yeah, that's crazy. Shout out to 80 Great coming through with the $2 super chat. It's getting it started off. Says Ravens gonna beat the 49ers? Question mark. We're gonna get to that shortly. I got you. We're gonna get to that shortly. We're gonna break down this little stuff I want to get through, and then we're gonna get into these predictions momentarily. Shout out to you. Thank you, 80 Great, for the $2 super chat donation, my friend. Much appreciated. Dan says, love you guys. And Royal says, I hope the Ravens beat the brakes off the 49ers. Debo doing too much. All right. Let's go ahead and get into these standings. I want to talk about who's currently in position to potentially make it to the playoffs, who actually are going to the playoffs, and obviously who has been eliminated. So let's go ahead and get into this stuff here. As far as for your AFC, right, you currently have Miami as well as the Bills in the balance. There's been talks as far as whether or not the Bills may potentially have a chance to overtake the AFC East. Obviously, you're hoping for a loss with Miami. You want the Bills to win out. And then obviously, if it comes down to the Bills and Miami in the last game, that they take care of business and beat Miami, take over the AFC East, definitely possible. It is in the cards. Bills have already blown out Miami. And right now, they're playing with heart. They're playing with determination. Although I will say this, I don't think Miami's going to go down easy a second time in a row. I do think it may be a dogfight, but obviously, you guys know I'm rocking my Bills. As far as being eliminated, the Jets are out. New England is out. Getting into the AFC North, you got Baltimore, who clinched a playoff spot. Their record's 11-3. Then you've got the Browns and the Bengals hanging on in the balance, right? I like the Browns. Joe Flacco signed that contract. I love what they're doing as far as the incentive thing. And I will say this. The big thing that I really like about the incentive situation is the fact that you're telling a quarterback, hey, you're on the team, go out there, earn your money, earn your pay, and go out there and perform. Guess what? We're not going to give you, we're not going to give you 11 million. We're not going to give you 20 million just because of your name. We want you to go out there and perform, and I like it. I like it for the Browns. I like Joe Flacco, and that defense is definitely going to be something to reckon with. I would not be surprised if we see these Browns end up in a wild card, make it to the playoffs, and then we'll see how it can go. Then to be the Bengals, they're 8-6. Once again, another team that could potentially end up in the playoffs. I like what Brown doing. Obviously, you guys, he's balling out. That amazing catch he just did. Tyler Boyd's still out there. Joe Mixon in the mix, and then of course Jamar Chase, your WR1. These guys can definitely still end up there as well. And hey, maybe Browning can make something of this team, and nobody's seen it coming. But once again, they're in it too. Pittsburgh, I don't know. I really don't know. Kenny Pickett. I was really upset that these guys have not been able to pull things together because I do think that the Steelers had a solid team at one point. I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe a different coach. I don't know. Maybe what Tomlin's doing is not working anymore. Maybe they need a facelift. I'm not sure. Right now they're 7-7. I don't think they're going to make it to the playoffs, but hey, I could be wrong. We'll see. After that's going to be the AFC South. Now, speaking of teams that I really don't know what the hell's going on, AFC South is up for grabs. It is literally up for grabs. You've got the Jags 8-6, you've got the Colts 8-6, and you got Houston 8-6, and then Tennessee, of course, is eliminated from playoffs. As far as the Texans, you've got C.J. Stroud, who's currently out. He's out of concussion protocol, so he will not be back. You got the Colts making a run for it, right? Gardner Minshew and company surprising people this year, and then you got the Jags, who are kind of just playing a shell of themselves. As I think that injury that Trevor Lawrence has with his ankle may be playing a part in regards to his accuracy and what he's doing out on the field. Like I said, the AFC South is up for grabs. if Jags don't get it together, this could be a weird situation to where the Colts take this thing over, which would be absolutely wild. So yeah, moving forward, you got the AFC West, Kansas City, 9-5. Obviously, we get into the conversation as far as Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and what these guys have been doing and how he's basically been just whining and going through the motions because nobody can catch a ball and then they get fined because of the ref comments and all this kind of stuff. Well, guess what? I think they're at this point which we seen the Patriots go through years ago, right? They became human this year. They became human this year, and they became a team that almost anyone can beat. And that's just the reality of it. Nobody's discrediting Patrick Mahomes for being one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. No one's discrediting Andy Reid for being a goat of a coach, without a doubt. But the reality is this: Patrick Mahomes only has Travis Kelce out there. You can talk about Rice, you can talk about Moore, you can talk about anybody out there. Pacheco, great, great. At the end of the day, they haven't been getting the job done with this team. So unless they get some kind of help, I don't see the Chiefs making it past the first round playoff appearance. I don't. After that, you got Denver, right? Denver is right there. They're right there to potentially do something. Now, obviously, with Denver losing, that does kind of shake things up a little bit as far as their chances, but they're still in it. If they can basically pull up the bootstraps, if they can basically pull up these next few games, they may actually be able to get to the playoffs and surprise some people, right? Sean Payton, he's a mastermind as well. You can't sleep on the guy. He may figure it out in these last few weeks here. Then getting into obviously the Raiders, 6-8, not gonna happen. I'm just being honest with you, it's not gonna happen. The Chargers, as far as the coaching situation, I did read something in regards to Jim Harbaugh being looked at, but Spanos did say that they were willing to spare no expense in regards to a new coach. So hey, we could see something crazy happen with the Chargers as far as who they decide to go after. After that, as far as for your NFC, ladies and gentlemen, for the NFC East, you got Dallas clinching, you got Philadelphia clinching. The Giants are in this weird situation where they're 5-9. Then you got Washington, who is currently eliminated. After that, it's going to be the NFC North. You got Detroit 10-4, Minnesota 7-7, Green Bay 6-8, and then Chicago 5-9. Weirdly enough, some of these teams are still in it. Then obviously the NFC South is kind of still up for grabs as well by three teams, right? You got Tampa Bay 7-7. You got the Saints 7-7. Atlanta 6-8. The Panthers are eliminated 2-12. But I mean, here's another one, right? Tampa Bay could pull it off, take the AFC or the NFC South, or the Saints could, right? You may see Carr come back and just surprise and wow everybody. Now, will they make it further than maybe a first round playoff game? I don't know. But both teams, right? Tampa Bay's was on a current 3-win streak, and then you got the Saints on a current 2-win streak, and then Atlanta's down 2. So things could get interesting the next 3 weeks. We'll see what happens there. And then last but not least, you got your NFC West, 49ers 11-3, controlling the NFC West. They clinched their spot. Then you got the Rams in Seattle, right? Seattle coming off of a crazy, crazy win by Drew Lock. Arizona is obviously eliminated. Now they've got 3 games left that are against some really, really serious opponents. And guess what? I don't think they're just going to roll over and give up. So even though they're eliminated, I do think they try to pull off something as far as a couple wins as the season comes to an end. And then we get into the Rams and the Seahawks. Right now, they're fighting for that second spot and potentially could make it to the playoffs as well. So who knows? Who knows? Could Matt Stafford come through and make another playoff appearance? Could Seattle figure it out with Drew Lock and Pete Carroll and all these questions we have as right now? It's really, really crazy what's going on with these divisions and as far as what they're able to do. Now, getting into this thing won't move here. Why won't it move? Come on, move for me. All right, it's not moving. All right, I can't do it. I'm just going to do this. There we go. Shout out to Furious Storm, says representing the NFC South, the 7-9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, you just give them 2 losses. So I'm just giving them 2 losses. Shout out to Miss Diamond. What's going on with you? Royal says rest in peace, Washington. Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because I like Robinson. I like what the offense is doing over there, but that defense needs some help, man. It's 2 games where they should have beat the Eagles and they just didn't. And unfortunately, they're going to have to try to rebuild next year. Robert says same old story. Maybe next year. That's how it goes. Shout out to you, James Walker. What up, bro? What's going on with you? Weiss says, good afternoon, Jay from Sydney, Australia. Love your show. Keep up the good work. Most def, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So next we're going to go ahead and get into these predictions, right? These predictions for week 15 or week 16. I'm sorry, week 16 predictions, ladies and gentlemen. And let's dive right into it. I'm not going to play around with it. Week 16, we're starting off tomorrow, Thursday night. We're going to have the Saints and the Rams. Now, obviously, I will be streaming this game. You guys know, so make sure you subscribe and lock it in. Saints are 7-7. Rams are 7-7. I do think this is going to be a hell of a game because, once again, like I said, this is going to be one of those games that are definitely going to be, a part of playoff implications. And I see a dogfight, right? You've got the Saints 3-4 away. You got the Rams 4-3 at home. Kickoff's going to be at 8:15. I will be streaming it, so make sure you guys lock it in. Getting into the spread, you're looking at the Rams favored by 4 at home. Your over-under is 46.5, minus 200 on the money line, plus 170 on the money line for the Saints. As far as the matchup predictor, you got 39.5% for the Saints, 60.2% for the Rams. Getting into your season leaders, right? You got Derek Carr with 3,098 yards, 16 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And then you got Stafford with 3,320 yards, 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Kamara with 630 yards, 5 touchdowns. And then Williams was 953 yards, 8 touchdowns. Olave coming through with 918 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then Nakoa with 1,163 yards, 4 touchdowns. As far as your injury report, you got Isaiah Foskey, Lonnie Johnson, Peyton Turner, Ryan Ramczyk, and Kendre Miller either on IR or out. And then for the Rams, you got Ronnie Rivers, Joe Noboom, and Trey Tomlinson out as well. Getting into the Saints' last 5, they got a win against the Giants, 24-6. Win against the Panthers, 28-6. Lost to Detroit in a close one, 33-28. Lost to Atlanta, 24-15. Lost to Minnesota, 27-19. And then getting into the Rams' last 5, you got a win against Washington, 28-20. Lost to Baltimore, 37-31 in OT. That one was absolutely crazy. Win against the Browns, 36-19. Win against Arizona, 37-14. And a win against the Seahawks, 17-16. So, yeah, I do think this will definitely be a dogfight. I'm going to have to take the Rams at home now. I do think that defense is a little bit more stronger. I do think that Matt Stafford's been heating up getting into these last few weeks as far as, within the season. And, I'm going to take the Rams. I'll take them by a touchdown at home. And I do think they'll take this one for the win against these Saints. All right, so getting into these next few games here. As far as on Saturday, we do have some Saturday games. As far as we got the Bengals and the Steelers. That's going to be at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. And then we'll have the Bills and the Chargers on Saturday as well. I will be streaming the Bills game, so make sure you guys lock in and subscribe. I'll be streaming the Bills game. Getting into these Bengals and the Steelers. 8-6, they're 3-3 away. Pittsburgh is 7-7, 4-4 at home. This game's, like I said, going to be at 4:30. It's going to be on Saturday. Getting into the spread. You got the Bengals favored by 2. The over-under is 36.5, so they're expecting a low-scoring game. Minus 130 on the money line for the Bengals, plus 110 for the Steelers on the money line. Now, I like this one for a couple of reasons, right? Because this is where basically all the marbles come into play, right? You've got Mike Tomlin coaching at home. To be honest, I don't think Trubisky is the man for the job. I'm not sure Mason is either. So I don't know how they're going to pull this off at all. Browning has definitely been surprising me. You've got Higgins, you've got Boyd, you've got Chase. There's just so many weapons mixing out there. There's so many weapons. And that offensive line really stands behind Browning and believes in him. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and take these Bengals right on. In fact, I'd probably take them by 14, to be honest, because I think they may just run up the score on these Steelers at home. Now, we could be surprised because the Steelers defense may step up and keep it a close game, but I do think that the Bengals will go ahead and take this one from the Steelers at home. Shout out to Christopher Jones coming through with the $2 super chat. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Shout out to you, Christopher Jones. Much, much appreciated, my friend. Shout out to Tyrone. What's going on with you, bro? What's going on with you, bro? Sherry says, "What do you think about the Hawks?" Yeah, we'll get to the Hawks in a short minute here. Shout out to you, Sherry. I got you. Says, "I feel like the Rams will win out. They're heating up." Yeah, man, without a doubt. All right, see, I got the Bengals for that one. Next up after that, let me just close this out here. Next up after that is going to be the Bills and the Chargers. So yeah, Bills and Chargers. I mean, it should be. This should be a complete blowout, right? Hey, Easton Stick, I'm sorry, man. You don't have a coach, you got an interim coach, but you really don't have a coach. You really don't have a general manager either. I'm not sure as far as, how that locker room is right now. I'm not sure as far as that morale over there. So, yeah, I'm just going to say Bills by $1 billion, and that's just the reality of it. All right, let's keep it going. After that's going to be Atlanta and the Colts here, right? The Falcons and the Colts. I like this. This is going to be on Sunday. These are your 1 o'clock games. I like what the Colts are doing. I do think that, Atlanta could put up a fight for sure, right? They're both in this situation to where they could potentially make it to the playoffs, depending on how things go as far as these next few weeks. So, yeah, I definitely think it'd be a close one, but I'm going to roll with the Colts here by 3. I'm going to take the Colts by 3 in that one. Seattle and Tennessee, I like Will Levis. I do think that, Tennessee is a team that's willing to fight you till the end, no matter what, even though they're eliminated from the playoffs. I do think that Seattle will definitely take this one as well. I'm going to go Seattle by 7. Detroit versus Minnesota. Now, this is going to be a very interesting one, right? Because everybody's just expecting Detroit to win. And we get into these kind of situations where it's like, oh, yeah, we know that Detroit's going to beat, the Vikings. And then the Vikings decide to come out and play really amazing offense and defense, and it turns into this crazy close game. And then everyone's sitting there like, well, what the hell happened to the Lions? And this is why when we get into these last few weeks, things start to get really tricky as far as who you think is going to win and who potentially will take the win in these games. Nevertheless, I'm still going to go with the Lions because I do like the offense. They do have good chemistry. Jared Goff and this company should get the job done. I'm going to take the Lions by 7 against the Vikings. After that's going to be Washington and New York, right? You got your Commanders versus the Jets. Sam Howell, then you've got the situation with these Jets here. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure in this one. To be honest, I think it could go either way, 50-50. With that said, I'm going to give New York the win here just because they're at home. Better defense than Washington. I'll take New York by 3. After that's going to be Green Bay versus the Panthers. Obviously, Panthers coming off this ridiculous win, even in a really low-scoring, close game. But I do feel like Jordan Love has great chemistry with his offense, and I do think that Green Bay has a better defense. Will have better defense against the Panthers. So I'm going to take Green Bay there by a touchdown for the win. After that's going to be the Browns in Houston. Listen, you have Mr. C.J. Stroud out right now, and I hate to say it, but the reality is this. As far as C.J. Stroud being out, that's the heart of the team right now. You need C.J. Stroud. Without Stroud, this team is in shambles, and they don't really have that chemistry that they had in the previous weeks. So, this one's going to be automatic for me. It's going to be the Browns. I'll take the Browns by 14. Quick shout out to Carlito coming through with the $5 super chat. Says, love the channel, brother. Keep doing yo thing. Shout out to you, Carlito. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support, my friend. Royal says, Commander better win. I thought they were going to make it to the playoffs. Sadly, no. Unfortunately, I just don't see it happening. Shout out to Sherry, says, we need the Bills, Seahawks, Saints, and the Steelers to win. My family will be happy. Shout out to you, Sherry. What's up, Luta? What's going on with you? Love, hug and loves to you as well. Shout out to you, Luta. All right, let's keep it going. So after that, it's going to be the Jags in Tampa Bay. And, right, we've been talking about Trevor Lawrence and as far as what he's been doing on the field and how he doesn't look like himself. And, Baker Mayfield starting to, really pull some things together. And I think, like I said, they're in the same kind of predicament that the Falcons are in. Right now, if Tampa can keep going, then you'll definitely see them potentially in the playoffs. But I feel like this is going to be the game where Trevor Lawrence is like, all right, now let me go ahead and get this thing together. ETN goes out there and runs for 150 yards, may get two touchdowns, and this defense decides to step up and put Baker Mayfield on his backside. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. You could flip a coin for this one as well, but I'm going to go ahead and just give Jacksonville the benefit of the doubt because I do think this will be the game where they turn it around, and I'm going to take the Jags by 7. After that's going to be the Cardinals versus the Bears, right? Another good one. We got a couple coin flips here for sure. Cardinals versus the Bears, both these teams going through their struggles. The difference is Kyler Murray. I think the difference is going to be Kyler Murray and what he's able to do as far as on the field, running around. He's just like Fields, right? He can break free, he can get loose, create some distance, get some time to throw the ball. I think, Cardinals fans and Bears fans will be in for a show for this one. But it's something about the Bears being at home that just gives them that little edge. And they did just lose in a close game, which they probably should have won. I'm going to go ahead and give these Bears the win at home by 3. By 3. Shout out to Brian, says, please change your pick from Detroit to Minnesota. You took Denver last game, and Detroit played their best game of the season. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Right? I was expecting Russell Wilson to go out there and Mr. Sean Payton to have a proper game plan for them to go out there and win. Right? They didn't show up at all. So hey, what do you expect? What do you expect? Shout out to you, Brian. After that is going to be Miami and Dallas, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I will be streaming this game. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you lock it in. Now, as far as this one, this is going to be a hell of a show. Like I said, I'm going to be streaming this one. This game is going to be at 4:25 on Sunday. You got Dallas 10-4, 3-4 away against Miami 10-4, 6-1 at home. This is crazy because, listen, we know that Dallas is having their struggles when they go on the road. At home, they're juggernauts, right? You may not have a chance playing them at home. But when they go on the road, you got a solid chance to beat this team. They're coming off of a tough loss against the Bills, coming off a tough loss against my Bills Mafia, and heading into Miami as far as, where they obviously do have an issue with Hill coming off that injury and whatnot. But they're still the weapons, right? Mostert, beast of a running back. Waddle, right? Gesicki out there. You've got a lot of other weapons that if Tua can get it going, then you're definitely going to see them basically utilize who they need to potentially get the job done. Now, getting into the spread, Miami by 1.5. It's just like thin margins. Thin margins. Vegas doesn't even know who's going to take this thing. I mean, they probably do, but you get the idea. 49.5 is going to be your over-under. Minus 125 in the money line for the Dolphins, plus 105 for the Cowboys. So the real question right now is this going to be the game, right? Is this going to be the game where Dak Prescott comes back and proves to everybody that he is that quarterback that we think that he can be? Or is this going to be the game where trying to get this right here. For some reason, it's not working for me, but whatever. Or is this going to be the game where he falters again? The defense finds a way to stop him again, and he looks weak and crippled against a Miami defense. On the flip side, is Tua going to get destroyed by an already angry defense who were supposedly sick in Buffalo, who will go down to Florida, play in some potentially decent weather, and actually show up on that field? These are the questions that we're going to have answered when it comes to whether or not Dak Prescott is going to lead this team to a victory, or will this tell us whether or not the Cowboys are frauds potentially going into the playoffs? With that said, I am probably going to lean more so towards Miami in this one for 2 reasons. Miami at home, right? They're 6-1. Dallas is 3-4 on the road. It's a 1.5 point spread. That lets you know how tight this thing is as far as, with the way they think the game is going to go. I'm going to take Miami by a touchdown in this one. I do think this is one game where we'll actually see a shootout. It's not going to be a blowout for Miami, kind of like how the Bills did, because I just don't see Tyreek Hill being as effective considering the injury. And it's going to be Interesting to see what Mike McDaniel pulls off as far as the game plan for Miami going into this one and how Mike McCarthy responds to it. But I'm going to take Miami by 7 and go with that one from there. All right, so next up, ladies and gentlemen, next up, getting into our late game here, or actually, I think we got a couple more 4 o'clock games. Next after that, it's going to be, oh, yeah, so it is a late game. It's going to be New England and Denver. So New England's going to be at Denver. Obviously, we've seen New England get absolutely destroyed by the Chiefs. Denver coming off of a loss as well. New England's out of the playoffs, right? So we know that they're eliminated, but Denver still has a chance. So I do think that Sean Payton's going to put together a proper game to get Russell back, to get this team back ready to go. You should see Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton in this game at home. So I'm going to go ahead and take Denver by a touchdown, and they'll try to inch closer to potentially making some kind of a wild card run. After that, it's going to be Christmas Day, ladies and gentlemen. Christmas Day, you're going to have the Raiders at Kansas City. Then you're going to have the Giants and the Eagles. And then you have the game of all games, which I will be streaming this one. Christmas night, it's going to be the Ravens and the 49ers. And this could very well be our pre-Super Bowl matchup. So everybody will have eyes on this game for sure. I will be streaming it, and I'm excited for this one without a doubt. But before we get into that one, we got the Raiders in Kansas City. Obviously, the Raiders coming off a ridiculous win against the Chargers. They're going to have some hype behind them. They're going to have some great intensity going into this game. Kansas City, they've had their issues and their problems. Patrick Mahomes, right? We understand that he's a great quarterback, but they're having trouble at offense. Maybe their defense can do enough to keep the Raiders at bay. I will take Kansas City in this one, and probably a close one. I think this game is going to go way different from how everybody thinks. It's probably going to come down to the wire. Kansas City wins by a touchdown. After that, it's going to be the Giants and the Eagles. And, hey, everyone's saying that, well, the Eagles should beat the Giants. And Tommy DeVito this, Tommy DeVito going to do that. Listen, we seen what the Seahawks could do. And, yes, we're not going to say that the Giants are the Seahawks, but these are the same Giants that just beat the Packers. And right now, Philadelphia looks weak. I'm going to say it one more time for my people in the back. Philadelphia does look weak right now, and this could very well be another crazy game going into Week 16 on a Christmas Day that has everybody sitting on the edge of their seats like, what the hell is going on with Jalen Hurts and company? Now, I'm not going to disrespect Philadelphia because you should, and I'm saying should, win this game. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to say Eagles by a touchdown. I'm going to say Eagles by a touchdown. After that, ladies and gentlemen, after that, we've got the main event on Christmas night. You've got the Ravens and the 49ers, and I'm sure you guys have been waiting for this prediction all day. You like, forget all the other ones, Jay. Well, this the one we need to know. This the one we need to know. Well, you got Baltimore 11-3. They are 6-1 away. They are 6-1 away. They've been handling business on the road. Then you got San Francisco 11-3. They're 5-1 at home. They've been handling business at home. You've got yourself a show here, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, as far as with the spread, you've got the 49ers favored by 5.5. Your over and under is 46.5. Plus 195 on the money line for the Ravens. Minus 230 on the money line for the 49ers. Let's get into these matchup predictors and the stats. You've got the Ravens at 35.7% versus 64% on the matchup predictor. Once we get into the stats, Lamar Jackson, 3,105 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Then you've got Brock Purdy with 3,795 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Lamar Jackson on the rushing, 741 yards, 5 touchdowns. McCaffrey, 1,292 yards. Let me say that one more time. 1,292 yards, ladies and gentlemen. This is just absolutely insane. 13 touchdowns. This is why the conversation in regards to MVP is so interesting, because I can't remember a time where we had like trouble figuring out who would be MVP between two players on the same team. We have Brock Purdy, who's having probably the best year of any quarterback in history. So efficient, top of his game, number one in multiple different stats. You've got Christian McCaffrey coming back and saying, hey, you guys have been sleeping on me for all these years that I've been with the Panthers, and look at me now. And you can say it's the system, you can say whatever it is. The reality is this: Brock Purdy came along and changed San Francisco organization and the whole game plan, because this could not be replicated by Garoppolo. This could not be replicated by Mullins. And this specific time frame for Brock Purdy is his season. No matter if you hate the guy, no matter if you love the guy, that's just the reality of it. This offense is at the top of their game. The defense is playing lights out, and you got yourself a hell of a time when you step into that field in Levi Stadium to go up against this team. Now on the flip side, we got to give these Ravens some love here, right? Lamar Jackson, Flowers. Obviously, Mark Andrews is out, but you got Edwards out there running. You got OBJ, you got Bateman, right? That defense, to a degree, right? They've been a little sloppy. They need to pull some things together going into this game, but this offense is very strong. So guess what? Even if the 49ers can put up the amount of points that we're used to them putting up, you're going to see this Ravens team also potentially match them in points if their defense can't stop the run by Lamar, can't stop that short pass game on the screens with Edwards, can't stop catching the slant, and by opening that up, you leave OBJ and Bateman open down the field for those long passes. That's where things will get interesting. The X factor in this game, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be whether or not this Ravens defense can stop Purdy. If you bring that pressure to Purdy, if you can double up on Kittle, if you can double up on Ayuk when you need to, if you can basically make the proper adjustments to stop CMC, then at the end of the day, you give yourself a chance to keep this thing close, and it comes down to the wire. I'm going to be honest with you. This is probably one of the hardest games that you can try to figure out and predict this week. I like both teams. I like the Ravens. I like the 49ers. With my Bills in the conversation, I think it's Bills and Ravens in the AFC for the Super Bowl, without a doubt. But at the end of the day, we may be seeing the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl with this game. And I think Ravens may be able to pull it off. I think Ravens may be able to pull it off in the regular season. But if we do see Ravens and 49ers in the Super Bowl, that's where we'd have that kind of rematch, and they may flip-flop. So it may be a situation where if the Ravens win on Christmas Day against the 49ers, they may meet up again in the Super Bowl, 49ers take it. Or it could be a situation where the 49ers take it on Christmas Day, they potentially meet up for the Super Bowl, Ravens may take it in the Super Bowl. That's what the feeling that I get when I look at the stats, when I look at what's going on in this specific matchup here. With that said, as far as who I'm going to go with, I'm going to go Ravens. I'm not going to tell you why. I definitely think for the most part, this will bring the most pressure that Brock Purdy has had. He knew what to expect in a weak Eagles game, right? They took care of business. We knew that the Eagles were weak. We knew that they had the problems that they were basically just hiding for the most part by beating up on the little teams. Then they beat the Cowboys, right? I'm not going to sit here and disrespect Dak Prescott. He's been having a hell of a year. I get it. But at the same time, when it comes to these big games and when it comes to actually going out and winning against a powerhouse, the Cowboys have obviously struggled. The big thing about this game is I think that the 49ers are getting the absolute best out of the AFC right now, and that is probably their only contender out of the Bills right now that they're going to face out of the AFC. So I do think that the Ravens will take this one down to the wire, and they win by 3. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Week 16 power rankings, Week 16 predictions. You got the stream schedule. And there it is. There it is. I told you guys, Week 16 was going to be absolutely nuts, and I'm excited for it. We're going to have a hell of a time. Like I said, if you guys did not, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, click that bell, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button, that thumbs up. It is much, much appreciated. Shout out to the Coach Plays. What up, bro? Says it's going to be a good one, but give me the 49ers. Listen, to be honest with you, I don't think that you could go wrong with either option, right? I really do think that you can't go wrong. You have so many different weapons with, the 49ers, but the difference with the Ravens is they have so many different offensive packages that they can run, right? They can hit you on the run, they can hit you on the screen, they can go with the short pass, open things up down the field that'll basically confuse that defense just enough to keep it close and potentially get the win. Like I said, the X factor is this: if the Ravens defense though show up, it may be too much to handle down the road. But if they come with the proper game plan, that defense can put enough pressure to force Brock out of that pocket, make him throw on the run. That's where Brock will start to struggle, because you leave him in that pocket for 3 to 4 seconds, he's going to find someone to throw to down that field, and it's going to be a drop in the bucket almost every time. That's how accurate this kid is. But if you pressure him, get him out of that pocket, make him uncomfortable, I think that's where you get those stops. That's where you have the ability to potentially make them get CMC in the mix and make them potentially get into the run more, where you potentially have a bigger chance of getting a good stop and getting the ball back. Without a doubt, this game is going to be a hell of a time, and I'm excited for it. Shout out to you guys. Royal says, not going to lie, 49ers need to lose. Their fans have too much pride. He's like, they need to lose. They need to take a loss. Daniel says, Colts injury report, Jonathan Taylor cleared for Sunday. Nice. Yeah, I took the Colts as well, so that's good. Robert says, you picked the Cowboys over the Bills by 3. You picking the Ravens by 3 of the 49ers. Do you want to change your pick now? No, I don't. Because I don't go by feelings or emotions. I go by the analytics, right? The Bills are supposed to win by 2.5. Isn't that what the analytics said? So I went against the grain. Still rock the jersey, still supported my team no matter what. That's the unbiased in me. Shout out to Sleepy. What up? What's going on with you? Bob says, didn't we supposed to warn them first? Teddy says, who does the Bills play? They play the Chargers. They play the Chargers on Saturday. Shout out to Luta. Let's go, Colts. Let's go. James says, bro, she hit it. He can still type. Oh, man, you guys are funny. Let's see. What else we got? Teddy says, don't say the Cowboys. It's the Cowgirls. Oh, stop it. Lorenzo says, Niners got flamed by Amari Cooper. This is the day to show up OBJ. Without a doubt. Says, don't forget Debo as well. He's a weapon. Yeah. Listen, there's so many different opportunities for the 49ers to pick up 10 yards, right? CMC, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, right? Mitchell, right? There's so many different things that they can use. And Kyle Shanahan has just been dialing up the game plan without a doubt. And that's why the 49ers look so dominant. But there are certain weaknesses, right? And I'm hoping that Harbaugh was able to pay attention as far as, those losses that they did have. And go into this game understanding that, yes, they're at 100%, but you can't allow this 49ers team to psych you out. You have to go in there knowing and feeling that you're better than them, because that's the only way that you're going to beat the 49ers. If you go into this game like, oh, man, I hope we win, you're going to lose. That's just the reality of it. If the Ravens go into this game like, oh, man, we going against the 49ers, they going to lose. They got to go in there like, we the Ravens, we going to the Super Bowl. We going to win it all. And that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. Says Chiefs will win big on Monday. Okay. All right. Shout out to Cash fam. Says Chiefs. Let's go. JD, who do you have for Chiefs game on Monday? I got the Chiefs, Teddy. The guy says I watched 3 hours of Cowboys fans crying after that Bills game. Tears tasted good. Shout out to you guys. James Lee says, let's go Saints. I believe in Carr. We'll see. We'll see, man. Michael says, like your comment on the Eagles. Listen, I like the Eagles, but they obviously, we knew that they were playing weak. And, they're going to have to figure some things out on defense. They have not been dominating, and that's just the reality of it. It's just the reality of it. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to you guys for rocking with your boy Jay for Week 16 predictions. Tomorrow it's going to be Thursday Night Football. It will be your Saints and the Rams. I will be streaming it. Make sure you lock it in, subscribe. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great evening. Have a great night. And if you're out there traveling, be safe. Have a happy holiday. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Last question says, Teddy says, who do you have for the Jags game? For the Jags, my friend. I took the Jags. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Took the Jags by 7. By 7. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a great evening. Peace.